what we have is a crafty umbrella. And if I had some excess cordage, the next thing I could do is find myself something a little stronger. Well, I think we found what we need. It's not the best, but it's better than nothing. Got a dead white pine here. I'm trying to be really careful not to drag this and break the brittle branches. But once we get this sucker designed, you know, we should have minimal impact on it. We're not going to be using it as a hammer of any sort. It's just going to be a little mobile umbrella. Hello world, Will White here with the world-renowned Piked Antler Project. We specialize in teaching you real-world survival skills that'll keep your ass alive. Today is more or less a pro tip. Will it keep you alive? Maybe, maybe not. But what I have here is a busted umbrella. I want you to just take a quick second to acknowledge the similarities, kind of like a wagon wheel or spoke, between this man-made umbrella and this white pine. The reason I chose white pine to do this is because it does have that wagon wheel. Everything kind of more or less stems from the same area. You're not having a bunch of staggered branches. So take a quick look at that. Wagon wheel, spindles on a bicycle, rims on a vehicle, umbrella. This is gonna serve us great for making an umbrella. But you may ask, well, Will, you have a poncho on. Why do you need an umbrella? I'll tell you why. We generally carry military issued or military style ponchos. Why? Because they're versatile. I can take this off, pop the buttons, make a roof out of this, make a shelter out of this. Or if it's raining down really hard, I can just come here and hunker down while I make a game plan. The downside of this, the water likes to collect and run down basically from your knees and beyond. So your knees, your lower pants, and your boots get soaking wet. An umbrella will help prevent that. Now, before we begin and show you how to do this, I know there's going to be naysayers. There's problems with almost every solution, but there's a solution to almost every problem. What we're trying to do is minimize our feet getting wet, and in a survival situation, we want fire. So what I would need to do is gather any tinder I could that's going to suffice, or hopefully find some quality fat wood. But the problem is, I'd have to take this off, find a good tree to lay over the branches to make a nice little cover for said fire building. Because there's no way I'm going to sit here, you know, keep my tinder dry while I have my head in here. It's just not going to work. So I could put this over some branches. It's cumbersome, time consuming, may need some cordage. Or I can make a quick umbrella with a long stake, stick it in the ground, and have a good working area of waterproof cover while I process my tinder. Another pro to this, you know, if I have to walk down a logging road or an open field, I'm mobile. I have freedom to look and see and feel. I'm not hyper sweating because it's warm outside, which will later cause possible hypothermia. I can stay clear and mobile. Now, if I'm going through the woods, thick stuff, I'd rather have this on my person versus over my head. But again, there's a problem to a solution and a solution to a problem. Just take this idea, do with it what you will. Is it perfect? No. Will it help? Absolutely. So before I continue telling you how to do this, a few things, very valid arguments. If you have an umbrella, yes, you have one hand preoccupied, one still available. Upside of that, you know, if I have my flashlight, cool, I can still use that. But if I need a weapon, then I'm kind of in a world of hurt. But this is not E&E, this is not escape and evasion. This is just lost in the woods. We're specializing in trying to get you out of the woods quickly. Once we progress to military style or escape and evasion, things change. But this is regular civilian stuff, so pay attention. What I want to make sure I don't do is get too aggressive with this and break the brittle branches. We were unable to find young living saplings, so we had to make do with what we had, which is a dead one. So I'm going to be fragile with it. I don't want to use my big knife or chopper and start chopping with all this vigorous motion. As dead as this is, I should be able to just pop these right off. Now, if you've spent enough time in the woods, you would know not to just throw this away. We wanted a fire tonight, right? What wood is really good for getting fire started? Pine. What are we working with right now? Pine. What's a really good wood in North Carolina, especially on the west, western North Carolina, that's good for making bow drill fire? White pine. So many different uses. You can have medicine from this. You can make fire from this. You can make pine pitch or glue from this. And now we're gonna make an umbrella with it. So I'm saving all this wood because I can dual purpose this tree. You know what I mean? Sounded weird to say that, but you know what I mean. So the objective, especially if this were a living sapling, is once I put my poncho over this tall umbrella, if this were stronger, I could stick this in the ground with confidence that it wouldn't break. That's probably gonna break, but if it were young and green, not so much. So I could sit here with cover, an umbrella, my poncho, and have all this room to build my fire, start making a bed, and so on and so forth. But let's continue. I'm gonna go ahead and break down all these stragglers that I don't really want. Again. Okay, this is pretty clean, but I still want to be able to move around, so I'm gonna go ahead and break some of the excess off. Essentially, we don't need it, and the poncho probably won't actually reach that far. And another reason we want to make sure we clean up the inside a little bit. As it gets darker, it's going to be harder to see these little twigs. I don't want to get a twig in my eye. 1, it impairs my vision. 2, I risk infection. 3, if something breaks off and gets stuck in my eye and I have no way to get it out, no mirror or running water, it just made my situation that much worse. But here will be your end results. And for demonstration purposes, I'm going to build it so that you can see how it's assembled. So now that we have this anchored in the ground for a good display, next thing we do is just get our poncho, make sure it's unbuttoned. And this is the style poncho we're working with today. I'm gonna grab the headpiece or the hood, put it over the center. Now you're thinking, but isn't water gonna get in there? Maybe a little. So all we have to do is get our cordage. And if you don't have string, just like this one, string is missing. Oh, that's a world of problems. Not so much. So all I'm gonna do is try to make this opening smaller by zipping it up. I'm gonna go ahead and fold this completely over so no water can get in from above, maybe from below. But it's not a tsunami, it's just some rain. I'm gonna use this cordage. And what I can do, several options. What I'm gonna aim for today is a simple friction hitch. Just gonna put this right under here. We don't have much to work with, so I'm gonna have to make this work. Friction hitch, excuse me. Peel this back down. There we go, pretty secure. After that, what we have is a crafty umbrella. And if I had some excess cordage, the next thing I could do is find myself something a little stronger, maybe a good 7-foot pole, stick it in the ground, tie this onto that so that I can stand here, catch my breath, get my bearings, make a plan, or I can bring it down lower, which would look somewhat like this if I had the stake in, and I would be basically hands-free. Let's see what that looks like. I'm gonna change this so you can actually see. So if I had a nice long stake to attach this to, what I would have is a hands-free situation to start working with fire and drying out some bedding, some leaves, or whatever I can find. There's your pro tip. Stay dry and stay alive as long as you can. Go fuck yourself.